Hey there, my name is Neely Thompson and I'm with Paul Zhang, and today we are here with Harold Import Company to show off some of their new bread baking tools. As I'm sure you're all aware, bread baking has been the theme the past year during the pandemic, as more and more home cooks have started to explore sourdough baking and yeast spreads. And so we think that Harold Import Company has some really amazing tools that are worth showing off to your customers. So I'm going to get started and we're going to talk about our proofing baskets first. So we have a couple of options right here. We have a round proofing basket and an oval proofing basket. And these are made to provide structure to bread doughs while they are rising. They are handcrafted of palm wood rattan, and they come with a cotton linen liner. And there are two ways that you can use this. You can actually take the cotton liner off, dust the inside with flour, and then you get really beautiful coils while your dough is rising to help create that structure. You can also use the cotton linen liner inside, well dusted with flour. And you're gonna use this if you're planning on using a lamb to create some beautiful designs in your dough, which we'll talk about in a moment. But easy to clean, easy to take care of. These are about $22 each in retail. And one thing I will note before I pass it over to Paul is that you don't bake your bread in these. These are only for proofing the bread. But Paul is going to show us how this works in real live action.
Yes, thank you. So what we have here is some bread that has gone through its bulk fermentation, which basically means it's the first time it's all risen together, and then we've divided it out or portioned it, as recipes might call it, to the size that will fit these baskets. So basically what you're gonna do is just form it into either the round, which is also sometimes called a bowl, or the oblong shape, and essentially just creating an initial structure, and then what the basket provides is a place for this to go after that. So we're just gonna, like Neely said, dust it with a little bit of flour. I'm gonna go ahead and dust this one too. And because we are gonna use the lamb to make a more decorative pattern, we will go ahead and use the liner. So pretty much just as simple as that. We have a nice seam on the bottom. I'm gonna pop any obvious air bubbles, and then basically you leave that to proof again, about 60 minutes to 90 minutes, or you can put it in the fridge overnight if you're gonna be baking it the next day.
Covered or uncovered?
Covered.
Covered. Okay,
yes.
Great. Looks amazing. All right, so we're gonna let that dough rise. So let me talk about the other tool that is really helpful. This is the baker's lom, and this is a razor blade made specifically for creating decorative edges on your bread, your design. So this scores the bread right at the perfect depth, as opposed to using a knife, which is going to go too deep, and it's going to help provide ventilation along with the decor. It works forward and backwards. It has a nice beveled edge for rounded doughs. It's made with stainless steel and Romanian beechwood. It comes with 15 replacement blades, which is going to keep you baking for a while, and it retails for $10. So Paul here is going to show us how to use the lamb to create the beautiful designs that make it look like you bought this from a bakery.
Yes, so as soon as the dough's proofed and we unmold it, I'll be back to show you how to score it.
Okay.
Okay, so now you can see the dough is risen, and whenever, we did this overnight in the fridge to get great flavor, but you could also just do it the day of on the counter. You can really tell when your dough is proofed because you just touch it gently and your fingerprint will just bounce back. So that's a great way to know if your dough is at the right level. Now we're going to invert it onto some parchment, which is how I like to bake it. This one's a big boy, so let's all say a prayer. So I'm gonna dust it just with a little more flour because that helps really make the design stand out. And just give it a nice little rub down. Okay, so again, we have our lamb from HIC, and I love it. It's got a really thin blade. You can replace the blades, And essentially, you're just going to go and slice it wherever you want it to expand. So as you can see here, when I went a little deeper, it expands wider. That will continue to grow as we bake it in the oven. I'm gonna go even more. And then we can switch over here and do a couple different wheat stock patterns.
You can do initials.
Yes, I made an N for Neely yesterday when we were testing. But go on Instagram and there is no shortage of different design options for this. I'm gonna come back the other way and just, this one's nice because it really does cut through. You can see we're working with a really high hydration dough so that we get a great crust. And so now we have our wheat stock. This will open up to make a nice little ear, and essentially you end up with a beautiful design after it comes out of the oven. So we'll check back with you momentarily.
It's like exactly the size of my baby.
So after the bread bakes with the lid on in the Dutch oven, you lower the temperature and remove the lid to finish it. However, you should see that the dough has risen significantly from the heat, and it will continue to rise and brown while it's in the oven for the remainder of the time.